Shanks' journey here has been a very mysterious one. Many even question his loyalty to Luffy. With that in mind, I asked myself the following question. What is Shanks' real plan? What does he expect from Luffy so much? What will be his final act? And most important of all, is Shanks really the most powerful pirate in the world? Well, let's unravel these and other questions in this epic video about Shanks' journey, his involvement with Luffy, his will, and his power. But before anything else, if you want to be a pirate king like me and achieve eternal glory, go ahead and press the like button with all the power of your Akuma no Mi. And if you're new here, my dear sailor, already subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to activate the notification bell so you don't miss any new video here from Anime Joy Boy, okay? Then join this crew that will dominate the entire Grand Line and the New World. Now without further ado, let's get to this epic video. And well, my dear pirates, Shanks, since childhood, has very strong ideals. Treasures are not the most valuable thing a pirate has. Money is not more important than his companions, and despite being a relaxed person most of his time and always avoiding conflicts, he does anything for his friends, becoming a totally serious and fearsome pirate. You want to know the full story of Shanks, the most fearsome pirate at the sea? Stay with me and I'll tell you now. Shanks was born in West Blue 39 years before the present day, and right in his childhood he decided to become a pirate and went on to adventure in the sea by becoming an apprentice to the crew of Roger, the one who would later become the king of pirates. Shanks had a great admiration for his captain, and he and Roger had a very good relationship of friendship, so much that Roger gave him his priceless straw hat, and Shanks started to use it at all times and every place he went. Then, a few years later, Roger discovered that he had an incurable disease, which at first did not affect him at all, but it got worse over time. Then, there would come a time when it would make him so sick that he would die. So because of this, Roger decided to join the Grand Line and then recruit Crocus as the ship's doctor, who took care and controlled Roger's illness. At that time, Shanks spent most of his time together with another apprentice of the pack, Buggy. They were always arguing about meaningless things, like which pole was colder, the north or the south. They also argued about the value of money, which Buggy saying that riches are a pirate's most precious possession, and Shanks saying that his companions and his honor are worth more. But despite the numerous fights and differences between them, the two were always seen together while aboard on the ship. During this time, during an attack on an enemy ship, the Roger pirates managed to steal a devil fruit, the Bara Bara no Mi, which allows the user to be immune to slashing attacks, and also managed to split their body into several pieces and control them separately. And as they attacked the ship, Buggy found a treasure map, marking the location of a valuable underwater treasure, and as Buggy was obsessed with money and riches, he didn't plan on showing it to anyone. So after the battle, the crew threw a party in celebration of victory, and Shanks tried to invite Buggy to join them, as they had found a strange treasure. That night, Shanks and Buggy talked about what they planned to do after leaving the crew. Buggy said that he planned to have his own crew, and that he would even accept Shanks if it weren't for his ideals. But Shanks says people with different opinions like them should go into separate ways. So they agreed that they would meet as enemies as soon as they left the crew. In this conversation, Shanks told Buggy how valuable the devil fruit they found was. He said that it will be sold about 100 million berries, causing Buggy to come up with a plan to steal the fruit. So the next day, Buggy pretended to eat the devil fruit in front of everyone, but he actually ate a fake version of it, and he planned to sell the real one. But while he was holding the fruit, Shanks approached him, forcing Buggy to hide the fruit in his mouth. So Shanks just told him not to steal so much food and left, but he came back in the sequence to tell something that Roger had done just with the fruit, and he fried Buggy that he ended up swallowing the real fruit, thus gaining his power and losing his ability to swim. While Buggy yelled at Shanks, his treasure map fell into the sea, and immediately Buggy jumped into the ocean to get it. But as he couldn't swim anymore, Shanks also jumped into the ocean to save him. In that time, Roger's crew continued sailing the Grand Line and fought various pirate crews and the Navy numerous times. One of the most notable battles was against Shiki, the Golden Lion, who then became known as Ed Ward. So one of those times, when Roger's pirates were causing riot on an island after defeating a group of marines, they realized that Whitebeard pirates had anchored their ship on the other side of the island. The Roger pirates then clashed with the Whitebeard pirates for 3 days and 3 nights in a row, until the battle became a gift exchange, with everyone drinking and having a great time. It was there that Roger met Kozuki Oden, and invited him to join his crew as he knew how to read poneglyphs. So with that, Roger proceeded to travel across the Grand Line through the 4 road poneglyphs, thus passing Skypiea, Water 7, Tequila Wolf, Sabaody, the Isle of Fishmen, Wano, and so. And his last destination was the last island, the Loftail. But just as they were heading there, Buggy got sick and Shanks stayed behind with him, so Shanks didn't went to Loftail with the rest of the crew. After Roger returned from Loftail, Shanks went to talk to him, but only to shed tears over something that his captain told him. After that, Shanks and Bug returned to the crew, and Gold D. Roger became the Pirate King. After Gold D. Roger became Pirate King, his illness was already very advanced, so his crew began to be disbanded in secret. Roger was the first to leave, and after his captain's departure, the members left the crew one by one, including Shanks. Then, a year later, Roger surrendered to the Navy and was executed. Then Shanks, who was there watching the execution, cried a lot to see his former captain say his last words. Later, still at the same location, Shanks, determined to carry on Roger's legacy, began making plans to create his own pirate crew. He offered his team space for Buggy, who refused to work with him, and then the two went separate ways. So Shanks started looking for people for his crew. He had heard of a skilled marksman named Yasop, and went to his island to recruit him. Every rumor he heard that someone was good in an area he went after until his crew was complete, the Redhead Pirates. With his crew complete, Shanks began to roam the sea, thus making his name. At this time, he met Blackbeard and they fought. In this battle, Blackbeard gave Shanks the 3 scars he has on his left eye. In that time, Shanks also gained a new rival, Dracul Mihawk, and the two of them fought often. Their battles were so intense that they echoed throughout the Grand Line. Shortly afterwards, Shanks' crew attacked the government ship protected by the CP9 on Shanks' order and stole an apparently common fruit, the Gomu Gomu no Mi. But that later would prove to be much more special than anyone thought. That same year, Shanks arrived at Dawn Island, where he met a strange boy named Monkey D. Luffy. Intrigued by the boy and enjoying the atmosphere of that village, he decided to make the island the base of his crew for a short period of time, but that lasted more than a year. Luffy quickly became attached to his crew, so much that he wished to join them and become a pirate too, but Shanks would not allow the boy to join his pack, saying that he was too young. One day, Shanks was drinking with his crew at the bar, and Shanks told Luffy that he would leave after 2 or 3 more trips. However, they were interrupted when Higuma, a wanted bandit, along with the other bandits that accompanied him, arrived at the bar and demanded withdrawal. But the withdrawal was over and the last bottle was with Shanks. Shanks then gives the last bottle to him, but Higuma smashes it on Shanks' head, thinking that 1 bottle is not enough. And yet after that he threw Shanks' food all over him and walked away, thinking that Shanks was a coward. After that, Shanks and his crew just started laughing at the humiliation, making Luffy furious for not having proofread it. And in anger, Luffy ended up stealing the Gomu Gomu no Mi, the devil fruit, that Shanks had stolen, thus earning the rubber properties in his body. Shanks then went back to the sea for another trip, and while he was away, Higuma returned to the bar, and when Luffy met him, he started insulting him. That enraged Higuma, who took Luffy hostage, and that time, Shanks was returning, and after finding out what happened, he ran after Luffy. When meeting up with Higuma, Shanks and his crew defeated all of his men to save Luffy. Then Shanks said that he can do whatever he wanted with him, that he can humiliate him at will, but he's not supposed to lay any finger on his friends. After having all his men defeated, Higuma gets scared and runs away to the sea with Luffy. But soon after, Shanks manages to catch up with Luffy, who had been thrown into the sea by Higuma, and he was drowning as he couldn't swim anymore after eating the devil fruit. As soon as he saves Luffy, a Sea King attacks Shanks and rips off one of his arms. And then Luffy starts crying for Shanks' arm, but he comforts him, saying that it was just an arm. Later, Shanks and his team start to prepare to leave the village, and before they left, Luffy went to say goodbye and told them that he will become a pirate of his own, and that he will build his own pirate crew that even rivals with his, and that someday he will find the One Piece. Then, smiling at that, Shanks gave Luffy his straw hat that he had won from Gold D. Roger, making a promise to him to return it once he became a great pirate. And so Shanks leaves Luffy, leaving for the Green Line and arriving at the Sabaody archipelago, where he meets Rayleigh there. To Raylaigh's surprise, Shanks has lost his trademark straw hat along with his left arm. When Rayleigh asked him why he did it, Shanks began to tell him excitedly about the boy he met in East Blue, who had spoken the exact same words as Gold D. Roger. After his encounter with Rayleigh, Shanks and his crew entered the New World, where Shanks increased his influence and became a mighty pirate, with his name spreading throughout the world. His influence was such that he gained the rank of the Emperor of the Sea. Being a Yonko, the youngest of the 4 emperors, at some point, Dracul Mihawk stopped dueling Shanks because of his missing arm, but he maintained his respect and a casual stance with Shanks. In that time, Shanks discovered that Ace was after Blackbeard. Knowing that what he is capable of, he sent a subordinate to send a letter to Whitebeard about this matter. And knowing that Shanks had sent him a letter, Whitebeard told his subordinates that their captain should go in person. So after this, Shanks went personally to talk with him. The 2 emperors finally met. When Shanks boarded Whitebeard's ship, he used his King Haki to knock down all the low-ranking crew members unconscious, and he walked to the deck, where Whitebeard was on. So they two sat down and tried to talk. After sitting down, Whitebeard starts to reminisce about the past, where he says he could still hear that duels between Shanks and Mihawk, which used to echo through the Grand Line. And then he asked which enemy he lost his left arm to, only for Shanks to say that he bet it on a new generation. Shanks noticed that the scar over his left eye was hurting and revealed that Blackbeard was the one who infringed them. Shanks warned Whitebeard that Blackbeard would come to his position now that he has gained strength and started moving. And when Whitebeard asked what he wanted him to do, Shanks told him to please stop Ace, because he felt that it was not the time for him and Blackbeard to have a fight. However, Whitebeard stated that Blackbeard needed punishment and didn't take Shanks' advice. Then the two stood up, drew their weapons and got into confrontation, causing the sky above them to split in two. Shortly after this, Shanks returned away and shortly after learned that Ace was defeated by Blackbeard and handed over to the Navy and will be executed in Marineford. He also found that Whitebeard was heading to Marineford to rescue him, and so as soon as he learned from this, Shanks immediately went there. On the way there, Shanks discovered that Kaido was also heading there, thus taking advantage of the situation to attack Whitebeard, so Shanks intercepts him along the way, creating a dispute between the 2 emperors. In the end, the confrontation ended in a stalemate, and Kaido retreated. At the same instant, Shanks continued on to Marineford. But by then, Ace and Whitebeard had already died, so after the deaths of Ace and Whitebeard, Shanks suddenly arrived in Marineford just in time to save Kobe from being killed by Akainu. Praising the young Marine for his determination, Shanks proclaimed that he has become to end the war, and he says that he and his crew would fight anyone who wished to continue. And so of all, Marineford conflict ends, and he then tells the Marines that he wanted to give Whitebeard and Ace the burials they deserved, and so Sengoku allows him to do it. While at Marineford, Shanks might have met Luffy, but he didn't plan to do it because that would be breaking his promise, and Luffy hadn't become a great pirate yet. And later, after the conflict ended, Shanks along with the red-haired pirates attended Whitebeard's and Ace's funeral to pay their respects. So a good time passes from there, and as the news of Luffy exploits in Total Land spread around the world, Shanks read the newspaper, seeing the bounty that Luffy had, 1.5 billion berries. And he was very anxious to meet him again, saying that they will see each other soon, showing that Luffy was one step closer to finally becoming a great pirate. Shanks later went to Mary Joyce to personally speak with 5 Gorosei about a certain pirate. So a week after Luffy's fight against Kaido, Shanks and his team arrived to the closest shores of Wano, and Shanks, looking at a poster of Luffy with a bounty of 3 billion berries, finally recognizing his ability as a pirate, and looks forward to finally meeting him after so long. With that, Shanks sits down with Ben Beckman, and it says that it's time to find the One Piece. But even though everyone wanted to see Luffy, Shanks said that he couldn't, now since Bartholomew was burning their flags in his territory. What if they let it pass him? That would damage his reputation as an emperor. But before leaving, Shanks realizes that Admiral Ryokugyu is attacking Wano country and activating his Haki, even though he is miles away. He frightens the Admiral and makes him flee Wano. So Shanks leaves and continues his journey, preparing for the day he can finally be reunited with Luffy and get to the One Piece. Shanks is an extremely laid-back person who only makes his move when he really needs to, and as he has discussed with Buggy himself, the greatest treasure isn't money or wealth, it's his companions. His words to Higuma were, "You can spill booze on me, you can throw food at me, you can even spit on me and I'll laugh at these things, but with good reason or not, no one hurts a friend of mine." Shanks is currently preparing Luffy for something big, as long as he gives him the straw hat he's been watching him. Until this day, right now it arrives and the two finally can meet again. could see, Shanks' journey is incredible, but he's still hiding a lot of things from us. But each time we approach the climax of the story, we see that Oda is pulling the strings together, and that Shanks wishes and plans for both Luffy and the world to follow only one path, and that path is called stability without violence. We saw how, at various times, Shanks used dialogue to stop wars and friction, and using Luffy as the key for his change in this world to occur can be the escape valve, so that Shanks doesn't have to interfere with his powers in a definitive way or a coercive one. In other words, what I mean is that while Luffy claims all the status of the greatest pirate in the world, while he cleans the main island and countries from the tyranny and unscrupulous leaders, Shanks goes on the other hand. He will keep following Luffy on the same journey, but in a way he managed to balance the powers on the world without having to beat everyone else. Gradually, and using Luffy, Shanks is clearly leading and guiding a new world to another direction. A direction where there will be no room for a world government that uses force to silence people, let alone leaders who enslave people and cultures. In a few words, I would say that Shanks completely believes in Luffy. I even mentioned this in a past video where we talk about the passing of Roger's hat to Shanks, who very possibly believed that he would be the person who would change the world, but unlike Roger, Shanks is acting as a shadow support from Luffy. While Luffy is fighting and using his powers in a direct way, Shanks is only using his power and his influence to confront, because in fact, his will is not to create chaos, but to create a different world. This is for me Shanks' true master plan for the future and the world, and of course Luffy. But since we mentioned his power, I have a few more things to talk about. After all, what is the limit of Shanks' power? Well, he has already demonstrated to us, and this is further proof that if he wanted to change the world by force, he could do it. Would Shanks have an advanced or differentiated form of Conqueror's Haki? And I would say that yes. We saw that in chapter 1055, when Shanks, using his Haki, was able not only to freeze Admiral Ryokugyu, but also undo his Logia transformation, proving that yes, the King's Haki or the Conqueror's Haki is very deep and well trained, and we can even scratch that surface. We may be witnessing the blending of all types of Haki into a single, more powerful Haki. Of course, Oda still has a lot to explain to us, but it becomes increasingly clear to me that the King's Haki will have an extra layer, like an awakening, so to speak, and who will show this to us will be Shanks, and he will be probably showing that to Luffy in the same way, and then Luffy will be ready to have enough power to finish the journey. But now, I want to know what you guys think, so please leave your opinion about this video in the comments. And of course, if you made it this far, it's because you like the content, so it doesn't hurt to subscribe to our channel and become one more member of our fleet, my dear sailor. And of course, do not forget to press the like button. That helps a lot in spreading the video and the channel, so help us to become the largest fleet of pirates here on YouTube, okay? A big hug for everyone, and until the next video.
Bye.